only 1 hour radio show giving you the latest information in sports cars, memorabilia, and collectibles. Here are your hosts, Imran Polati, Tim Big Shep Shepler, and Kevin Michael Whitey Gleason. Cheerio, Rice Krispie. Welcome. Happy holiday weekend, Saturday. I'm Kevin Whitey Gleason, and yes, I'm still holding out hope that my 1988 Donruss Todd Benzinger rookie card is going to be worth something someday. Maybe I need to get it graded. I don't know. Here's a guy who would know. The star of the show, the guy who, I don't think we've ever revealed this before. He actually sleeps every night in a giant plastic case bearing the PSA grade label of 5. Excellent. Imran Polati.
Two things we're going to. The Hottie Pilati is here. Couple things here. Number one, Todd Benzinger rookie, as in the Cincinnati Reds shortstop or second baseman.
He was an outfielder for the Red Sox, but he spent some time with Los Gigantes as well, I believe.
Benzinger.
Yeah.
Sure he wasn't a Red?
He might have been a one time. I'll show you the card, though. It's awesome.
It's a rookie?
Yeah. Okay. You know that 1988 era is like, ooh, I got a Todd Benzinger rookie. I'm on my way.
And let's address the second part with me sleeping in plastic. I used to. However, with the tariffs, it's very expensive to sleep in the plastic. It's cheaper to sleep in some Egyptian cotton sheets. So
I'd heard that your wife had to bust you out of the case every day.
Yes.
And you got to get graded every day when you go to sleep. But I don't know.
Best way to do is using pliers and a screwdriver to get me out of there. We've got MC in the YouTube. You can join us on the YouTube chat at the Sacktown Sports 1140 channel. And then also, we would love some text messages. Oh, that is
There's
Benzinger.
My guy, Todd Benzinger.
The rookies. That's an 87 Donruss, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
the rookies. Hit us up on the chat line or the text line 916-339-1140 or call in. We take all of that today.
Yeah.
Well, you've had an exciting week. Some stuff happened with the Kings, I heard.
Actually, nothing.
Nothing much.
Nothing on the court happened. Then a bunch of stuff happened off the court after that disappointing, crushing defeat where they just looked again. You know, we've seen the Kings sometimes look so good this year, and all of us, or a lot of us anyway, got hopeful that, they found something. They've turned the corner, and then they go out there against some Mavericks, and it's like, bleh.
Yeah, it's been a rough week, but lots to talk about. The changes are significant. Monty McNair, GM, is out within minutes after, and then Scott Perry was hired. Less than 12 hours later.
Yeah. Interestingly, and it may be nothing. I was talking to Anthony about this. Hello, Anthony.
Anthony behind the window taking care of us today.
The Kings haven't actually announced it yet, so that might be nothing. But ever since, remember when the Giants got Carlos Correa and they were going to announce it, they were going to the press conference and it never happened. I'm just, nothing has happened until it's happened. So it hasn't been officially announced yet. Maybe that's just a formality.
Who's our Giants shortstop right now?
The guy they just got from Adames, right?
Yes, Adames. So
yeah, the guy they just got from the Brewers.
If Correa would have been signed, he would have played shortstop, meaning that Adames, who isn't setting the world on fire right now.
No,
he's not. That contract looks a little bloated, but when you have some Jung-Hoo in your life, it's going to be all right.
You were telling me Jung-Hoo's cards are flying out of the shop.
I think he's leading the league in hitting for National League right now, and he leads the league with 10 doubles. So he likes to stop at second base and not go for that third one. Let's close out our Kings talk, but a little housekeeping before we get started. Wanted to let you know that we are at the All World Card Show right now. Donovan and Ethan are there right now. So if you'd like to go visit them, it's in the Pocket area at a Portuguese hall. It's pretty cool. This is our second time doing the show. It's not bad. We're enjoying it. So
it's a nice place. I've been there.
Making some sales and trying to buy a few cards. The store will be open today, 10 to 6. As usual, AJ, Big Shep, and DJ will be there. And also, we will be closed tomorrow in observance of Easter weekend. However,
it's understandable. It's sad, but it's understandable.
Yes, we do need to be with our families because as much as I love my family, I don't like those events too much. Just like us all hang out together, and Jessica makes me wear like a button-up polo, and
I thought you were going to say she makes me dress up like a bunny.
She makes me dress up like a bunny. I'm the silent one that does the same thing.
Very good.
Yeah,
bunny.
I'd be playing around with the kids and be like, ugh. You'd hear me under this bunny. I'm like, ugh. I'm a germaphobe, so other than my own kid, I'm not really good hanging around with kids coughing and stuff. The other thing too.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy
Remember
Easter.
Pilati.
That's why I'm taking the day off. So get away from you, snot-nosed kids. No, I just we have that. Also, next week we're at another card show, but Shep and I are actually going to make a visit later today, to the SAC Anime Convention in Roseville. Not my jam.
Scouting trip, huh?
Correct. We are having our big Sacramento Autograph Sports Card Expo September 26th through 28th at the Roeblen Center at the grounds in Roseville. And we're actually replicating the same layout as what's there today at the SAC Anime in Roseville. So Shep and I are going to go there with copious notes. We're going to be the Whitey Gleasons of the world, writing. And so we're going to make sure that we know what it looks like, what it feels like, the things that we like, the things that we don't like, to make sure that September goes off without a hitch.
For the record, I only have 2 pieces of paper in front of me today.
Neither
one of them you
curled.
requested.
Yes, I did.
So actually, it's 3.
It was the write-up about me sleeping in a PSA 5.
Yes,
plastic.
right. I wanted to make sure I got that right.
Yeah. One more thing I got to announce, and it's a sad announcement, but I do have to talk about the tariffs. We got a message from our suppliers, our wholesalers, this past week that unfortunately anything coming from overseas, particularly China, is going to be affected by the tariffs. So when it comes to top loaders, sleeves, any of the supplies right now that are plastic, it's going to affect the hobby. There was a couple of influencers and social media people that had talked about it as well. So
I read about a store in San Antonio. I was just reading today about somebody coming out and saying the same thing.
Today's our last day.
We don't want to do this, but we have to do it.
We don't have a choice. Yeah. So if you have a chance to go and supply stock today, come into the store, 6661 Stanford Ranch in Rockland, and buy up supplies today, particularly the plastic ones. We don't see anything being affected at the moment in regards to the wax boxes or anything like that, because they're all created domestically here in the United States. But I don't know what that means as far as like the paper, cardboard paper, or any of the packaging or whatever's
well,
done.
frankly, nobody knows, right? Seriously.
Right. So without it being political, I'm telling you that expect that on Monday when we reopen for the new week that you'll see some changing in prices in regards to the plastic products, top loaders, sleeves, etc. So that's unfortunate, but it's kind of where we're at in the world. So stock up right now. I won't change the price until Monday. So give me the heads up. All right, let's talk about things that are depressing. Let's talk about the Kings.
Fans were so angry. They reacted so angrily to the way things went. And Kings fans are as divided as they've ever been, Imran, and they have been that way for much of the season.
I would say, yeah, the
tear
second
it down and get rid of all these guys and start over. And no, you got to see what you can do with these guys. So yeah, people are unhappy.
Yeah, we've got let's say BJ Sal 916 says that let's trade Zach LaVine.
Yeah, he added some other words in there.
Yeah,
but
I paraphrased it. He said, let's trade Zach LaVine.
Can I tell you where Kings fans are? You
Please
may know this. You're a Kings fan yourself. You've been for a long time. A couple of weeks ago, Jay and I were doing the show because, believe it or not, Kyle Draper was off that day.
What?
Yeah.
Shock.
One of those rare, once in a blue moon.
Rare weekdays.
No, he had, it was a family thing or something. Or maybe he was with the team. But we were talking about, I think Jay asked a question. What's the one thing, Kings fans, what's your number one wish or complaint? And if there was a consensus, it was, we don't want so much involvement from ownership. And so that's been the drum that a lot of fans have been banging on this week with reports from Sam Amick that Monte McNair did not want necessarily DeMar DeRozan here. He didn't want to fire Mike Brown. So that's where a lot of fans are right now. It's like, why is the owner continually getting involved to the point where you have the Beam team and then less than, just a couple years later, they tear it all down. So rightly or wrongly, that's what a lot of fans are feeling right now.
I think that what ends up happening is you need to put the GM in that's going to be able to say, look, if I'm going to run this show, I need to be able to do it because I'm going to get fired, not you, Vivek, right? You're not going to fire yourself. Yeah. Some people say he should, or at least fire himself from the decision-making and let somebody take that over and run with it. And based on everything I've read about Scott Perry, and him and I have not gone to dinner yet, so I don't know him, right? I don't know him, but he seems like a guy that says, look, it's going to be my way if I'm going to do this, or I just don't want to take the job. And based on everything that I've read about the guy, that might have been kind of his caveat
Yeah.
to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually shocked that they didn't give a shot at Bob Myers. I mean, he's a great analyst. If you've been watching him on the NBA pre
I love Bob Myers.
he's awesome.
When I was at the Warrior Station, got to talk to him a few times. Wonderful guy. It's possible they reached out to him at some point, and he said, "I'm not interested." And then it wouldn't behoove them to say, "Bob Myers doesn't want our job." So, I mean, they may have. We don't know.
Well, think about this.
Yeah.
It would have been, he would have already had experience with Vivek as a minority owner of the Warriors.
Yes.
So he may have said, nope, don't want to work with that guy.
Maybe,
Or he would have said, you know what, that's intriguing to me. Let's talk about it further.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he didn't want to mess with anything as he's going into his first playoff run as an analyst. So maybe he didn't want to touch that and maybe said, let's talk about it after the season. And Vivek was like, no, I need somebody now
Right.
to fix this right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he did something finally correctly, which is hire the GM before addressing the head coaching situation.
Although in a way, I think Vivek has been the GM. People say, "Oh, you got to hire the GM first." Vivek's been the GM, and I think this is his coach. We'll see how that goes. But I'll say this for Scott Perry: you may have heard yesterday we had Jason Jones on.
Mhm.
Jason Jones used to cover the Kings for the Bees, now with the Athletic, but he covered the Kings for the Bee when Scott Perry was here the first time, and he said, and he was only here 3 months. Perry. He said one of the things Scott Perry did is he said the Kings couldn't get players to come work out for them.
That's right. He said not even late lottery picks.
They just didn't have any interest in doing that. But Scott Perry reassured he had the credibility around the league where agents and players like, all right, we'll go there and we'll work out.
He was the one that actually got Fox excited about potentially coming here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
the story goes, yeah.
Where did he go after that?
He went to the Knicks. That's why he left. He became the GM of the Knicks, kind of a dream job thing. And he had some success there, kind of a mixed bag if you look at the big picture, but he was there for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. So
and Jerry Reynolds says he's a really good basketball guy.
Yeah. And it seemed like it. I watched a couple of interviews. He seemed pretty smart. So that puts us in a situation in the card world. Who do we collect this season upcoming? Should we stack away some chips for the winter? What do we do?
I wish I'd held on to my Davion cards.
Boy, Davion played really well.
Yeah.
He's had a nice run.
Yes.
It just so happened that Terry Rozier allegedly played a role into putting himself on the bench based on some off-the-court antics. But that opened the door for Davion, and Davion has played great. He
really well.
Really well.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't be happier for the guy.
Yeah.
Truly. Miserable for the Kings, but again, wrong
yeah.
door.
I'm not
door
sure.
Door number one,
there.
door number two, door number three. I'll pick door number 4. Trade Davion for a second-round pick. And him and Vizenkov for a second rounder,
Lesser McDaniels,
and a McDaniels, and then they let him go before even the season started. What do we?
Yeah, I think they were trying to create some cap space or something. So that's one that looks like it might.
And guess what the Kings are in need of right now?
Let me see. Point guard. Would that be point guard? As you said yesterday, not that long ago, they had like 50 or 60.
And they had two of the top 5 point guards in the league, when Tyrese and De'Aaron. We have nothing now.
Yeah. And you got Domas going, oh, we need a point guard.
So I threw around some ideas of some trades that might work, both in the real life as well as in the hobby benefit for us. So I threw out a trade yesterday, and all of a sudden, before I even spit out the second half of the trade, Drapes was like, I said it would be DeMar, and you had to add a sweetener. And we don't have a lot of sweet. We have second round picks the first round picks that are protected that never convert. We've got, 2020, 2030 draft picks, just not a lot. So I said, add Keegan to this. Oh, he said. Drapes was like, you crazy. I said, you didn't hear my other side of this.
Did you notice I went right to break after you said that?
Yeah.
We got to take time out.
That was uncomfortable for Whitey's like, I gotta cool this guy down. So we dumped some Gatorade on Drape's head. He cooled down. And I said, for Jordan Hawkins and Zion Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went, okay. At this point, DeMar is an incredible player at 35 going into 36 years old. Okay. And he didn't seem thrilled on his postseason exit interview. Didn't seem thrilled. I'm older. I really want to make my run for a championship. He was the only one that wasn't like, no, I'm good.
Right.
Malik was like, I'm here. This is my place. I'd love to play the tuba. Whoever the coach is, whether it be Doug or somebody else, I'm down. I'm here. Domas said, I love it here. I want to win here. I'm going to be here. So you got buy-in from everybody with the exception of, and I didn't listen too much on Zach's interview. Was Zach quite committed?
We did the whole, he loves it here, but he also said, why wouldn't I want to stay here? And I'm always suspicious when anyone answers a question with a question, hey, do you want to do this? Well, why wouldn't I? Well, I don't know why you wouldn't, but do you want to or not? But anyway, for all intents and purposes, he said, yes, I like it here. I'd like to stay here.
Yeah.
They
So
want me here.
I think that what will happen is if and when the Kings decide to trade DeMar, it will free up the offense to go back to the Bean team year where you go high post, Domas, passing, cutters, using some screens. You can't really cut when DeMar's dribble down DeMar 2-point fadeaway jumper, which was consistent, but not really. It's maybe
Bog
even
things down.
Say again. Bog things down.
Sorry, yeah,
I think it might be more like addition by subtraction. By removing that, it'll free up more players to do more things versus the dribble down, back down. So I don't know. I just feel like a Zion trade would be amazing because the new GM over there has been given permission.
Joe Dumars, who used to be here. Joe Dumars and Scott Perry have worked together.
He's been given permission. Go ahead and look for a trade for Zion. Go ahead and make it happen. And I think DeMar is a salary match, which is going to give you a 20-point scorer, but also that Keegan Sweetener might be something that they might look into.
I don't know if DeMar would want to go there. We're not even sure if Zion would want to come here. So, that would put the kibosh on the whole thing.
You know what? Luka didn't want to go to the Lakers either, and that happened. So at some point.
Oh, he didn't mind, though. I mean,
he cried.
Yeah.
I plugged the trade into the trade machine that you had.
Of course it works.
And it does not work.
It does work.
What?
You have to throw in $700,000 from the Kings or get rid of that from the Pelicans according to the trade machine because there's a 125% rule with $100,000. It's a weird thing.
Of course. I know that has to be somewhat.
Don't
close.
you love that Anthony's like just minding his own business, doesn't say anything, and then he comes in. Oh, you're wrong,
I'm not trying. I just wanted to make sure you knew that the way that you did it is a little bit. You got to add a little bit more.
Hold on here. So, if those of you not watching on YouTube and are listening only. Anthony wears glasses, and right before he interrupted, he pushed the glasses right in the middle, and he goes, "Excuse me, guys. Actually, he's the actually guy."
My finger is up right now for everyone who can see.
I don't want to know which finger. He's behind me. I don't want to know which finger is up. But point of it is close enough. We could find some salary filler. That's a great trade for both teams because they want to move on from Zion. This DeMar comes off the books, I believe, after next year. So that would clear that versus Zion, who has 4 years left on his contract. And then you're getting an asset in Keegan.
I believe DeMar, I think there's a team option after 1 year, and I'm trying to look it up here, and believe it or not, we're having some issues. But if that's the case, let's say team whoever, they kind of want DeMar, and the Kings are like, you can have him, but you got to give us this or this or this. That team might just sit back and go, you're not going to be able to trade him. We're the only team that wants him, so you're going to have to opt out. And
he does have a team option.
He has a team option.
Yeah,
See, so the
team
can avoid that last contract.
But the other teams could say you're going to have to void him, and then we're going to get him for nothing. So why should we give you anything for him? I hope it doesn't come to that. But my theory is that the Kings will be over a barrel. Team B, that's like, yeah, we want him, but we're not going to give you anything for him. You're going to have to opt out because no one will take him, and then we'll scoop him up.
It's really interesting because the Luka trade was a panic trade, one that we all were like, this Shams has been hacked, right?
Yeah.
But I would say that the Fox trade was nearly as panicked. There was no need to trade Fox. He wasn't demanding it at the time. And then we unloaded, and we didn't even get one of the assets, not even a Keldon Johnson, not even a Vassell, not even let alone Castle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got none of those guys. And then we ended up with Levine, which, again, I'm higher on Levine than a lot of fans are. So if I was going into this, and this is a card show, so let's talk about the investments that I would take in this. For me personally, Emran Pilati, if I was to give advice and somebody said, Emran, what would you do? I would lay off of Keegan at the moment until we figure that out. I think he is the attachment sweetener to a DeMar trade. I think that happens. I don't think Scott Perry runs this back. He can't. Monty tried that.
I agree.
Yeah. Monty tried to run it back. It didn't work. Then he did wholesale changes and changed the entire roster. And that was a drastic. I think this is not tinkering, but I think that we're going to see 3 players-ish trade places. I think DeMar's one of them. People are saying that we should trade Monk. I don't agree with that. I think that Devin Carter, Keegan Murray, and DeMar DeRozan are 3 players in the mix right now to be traded, or even a Jake LaRavia sign and trade. I like LaRavia. I would like to keep him. And I think that he does quite a bit for the team that they need. And he said that he likes it here. So, and he's a card guy. So hopefully he'll come to the card shop every once in a while. Jake, if you're listening, what's up, bro? Come on by. We'll take care of you.
The reasons I don't want to trade Devin Carter and Keegan Murray is because I think one thing the Kings roster needs is an infusion of youth and a little bit of length. And I know Devin Carter's he's like 6'2", but he's long.
And he can rebound. He's great.
Yeah. I think the Kings need to keep those guys, and I think they need an infusion of more youth. I was very disappointed not surprised, but disappointed that Dallas lost last night, because that meant the Kings are probably not keeping that 12th pick. They had a decent chance to do that. So I think they need more younger, longer players, and I think trading Keegan would actually set you further back in that regard. So
I would say that I'd probably double down on my Zach LaVine investments, as far as he's in 2014 Prism is his rookie card. And I actually like LaVine as a low cost, low barrier of entry investment, at least locally. I think that whatever happens with DeMar, whether he stays or not, I think LaVine has he's not going to be standing on the sidelines as much anymore. He tend to get his shots up in the third quarter because DeRozan always picked up all the shots in the fourth, but LaVine would cook. I mean, that guy had 80 points in 2 games at the late part of the season. He's a scorer, and he shoots very well from 3. So I think that he's one of those guys that is a fringe all-star and could flip to be an all-star at any given time. This is his first full year being healthy in the last 3. I like LaVine. I also think that that I would like to see Domas is a very inexpensive get right now. He's a OKC Thunder uniform wearer in his rookie outfits. But I think that you could even pick up a National Treasures, one of the better ones, or even a flawless Domas, and I'll look it up as we're speaking here. I think he's a great investment. Are you investing in any Kings this upcoming year?
I don't think so. By the way, you mentioned Zach LaVine. The Zach LaVine 2014 rookie select silver prism PSA 10 low pop $299. That's for Gem Mint 10.
$299.
Panini Select. Yeah. It's a nice looking card.
If you think about some of the investments that are made by unproven players, you've got a Domas rookie card out of 2016 Panini Flawless. It's the RPA rookie patch auto, numbered to 25, autographed on card.
Ooh.
Sold March 30th for $163. In the grand scheme of things, $163 is a lot of money, but at the same time, for a flawless patch 3 color for
That's
Domas
nothing.
rookie, that's very little of an investment, and great upside. And it's not just about value of whether or not the value goes up or down. Just because a card sold for $163 doesn't mean that people want it. People will want it. So if you could get it at a great deal, I'd snag up some Domas rookies this offseason. This is our final show before the actual draft.
You scared me.
This is our final show.
What? I have
yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
What am I going to do on Saturday mornings now?
Probably go to a card show. No, it's not our final show, but it is the last show before the NFL draft. And one thing that we talked about was making sure that we kind of put our thoughts together. So I asked Whitey yesterday after the drive guys, I said, do you mind if we kind of create our own versions of mock draft 1 through 11?
And he was persistent too. And at first I tried to ignore him like I didn't hear. He's like, hey.
As you were walking away?
Yeah.
Yeah. With your headphones on.
Right.
Walking to your car. I go, what are you?
They're not
What are,
plugged into anything.
what are you listening to? Okay. So did you do your homework, sir?
I did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have the Kevin 11 because we're only doing the first 11, right?
that is good.
Yeah.
Kevin 11.
Yeah.
Can I call you Ant?
Yeah, sure, that works.
Yo, Ant.
Yeah.
Do you have any low-end background, lo-fi background music for us to set the mood to our
Yeah.
NFL mock draft? No words, please. Just keep it nice and light.
Yeah, we'll see what this is.
We'll see what we can do
Yeah,
here.
we'll see what this
All right.
sounds like.
Music to mock by.
Yes, music to mock by.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This
Love
one?
it.
You like this?
So the NFL draft is April 24th.
Green Bay.
What a place to have it.
Yeah, good for them.
The other thing too is that it's 10:25 at the moment. I'm going to rush through this because I'm going to talk WrestleMania for the last 5 minutes of this show
Oh, okay.
because wrestling is life. And John Cena is wrestling for the championship. I believe it's tomorrow night
As a heel.
as a heel.
All right.
A bad
Now,
guy.
The WWE tops WrestleMania patches. Do I have to wait till then to ask you about those?
We'll talk about it during the last
Okay.
5 minutes of
All
the
right,
show.
all right.
Let's talk about the NFL draft. So we know this is for all of you listening and making decisions on who you should invest in or who you should go for. Let's just start by right at the top, at the jump. Offensive linemen are a terrible investment in cards. A couple years ago, we had Joe Alt drafted by the Chargers. He happened to be a draft pick that was in the autographs of product, and they're just worthless. Joe Alt is an excellent player, but when it comes to the hobby, offensive lineman just doesn't work. In fact, I represented a couple of offensive linemen, Hall of Famers at an autograph event, and while they were some of the greatest players ever, the lines were quite short for them.
Right.
So either people that had to finish a piece that had a bunch of Hall of Famers on it or whatever. Offensive linemen have just never really carried much gravitas.
Even if it's Trent Williams or Penny Sewell.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Petty, so you always bring them up every show.
Yeah.
So let's start at the top. The Titans. Who do you have first on your mock draft?
Cam Ward from Miami, that's been apparent for weeks now. Good luck, by the way. The first quarterback drafted has ended up being the best quarterback drafted only 40% of the time in the last 25 years. So
That was an
Cam
interesting
Ward.
stat that you shared with me.
Yeah.
So the
yeah.
number one pick, which ones have been ones that have hit?
Carson Palmer in 03, Matt Ryan, Stafford, Bradford, Newton, and Luck.
Yeah, I was going to say Luck is one of them.
Let's see. Jameis, actually, believe it or not. Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. And then the rest of them have been
Give me some flops.
okay. Chad Pennington over Tom Brady.
Oh, he was not the number one pick.
The first quarterback taken.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Let's see. Jamarcus Russell over Trent Edwards. That was not a good
That was the
draft
number one
class.
pick.
What else? We got EJ Manuel over Geno, Blake Bortles over Derek Carr, Trubisky over a guy named, how do you say that, Mahomes?
Mahomes?
Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield
Junior.
over Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Kenny Pickett over Brock Purdy.
That was a bad draft, though.
Yeah.
22 is a terrible draft. That had also Malik Willis in it as well.
Mhm.
So that was just not a great draft. I'm with you. Cam Ward is the number one pick. Even though he's not the number one prospect, I believe Cam Ward is going to be taken. At this point, if I could tell you to stay away, ice cold. Remember the Beckett Monthly magazines where they would have the hot list and the cold list?
Yes.
Will Levis lives in the cold list and will live there for the rest of the year. Don't invest in Levis, in my opinion, because I believe that no matter where he ends up, even if he stays on the team or he gets traded out, he is a career backup
I
quarterback.
think you guys in
based
your
on what
store,
we've seen.
you don't need my help, but my suggestion would be put up a hot list. Do you have one? Just like a whiteboard somewhere in the store. Hottest players right now.
Attached to my brain.
Yeah, but it would be fun for us to go and go, oh, who's hot right now?
We should.
Yeah.
Look, Sons Beckett. Why not make the Beckett hot list and the cold list, and they'll have Beckett wearing a parka and earmuffs for the cold list,
Yeah.
and then he's wearing
Yeah.
I would never put my baby in a Speedo, but we'll have him wear shorts and a ball cap and some what do you call that on your nose? I don't use it.
Sunscreen?
Yeah, I'm not a white guy. I don't know what sun cream is. So we'll put a little on the nose, and that'll be the Beckett hot list.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah.
Shep, if you're listening, get to work immediately. All right. So second up is the Browns. Who do you believe that they're going to be taking?
History says this is where the quarterback hungry Browns make a disastrous pick, but I don't think they will. I think they take Colorado two-way stud Travis Hunter.
Okay. Whitey says Travis Hunter. Why do you believe that they'll overlook a quarterback in that standpoint?
Because I think Travis Hunter is that good, and he's eventually going to be something of a two-way player, maybe not full-time right away. But I just think that it looks like, talking about quarterback classes, doesn't look like an overwhelmingly great one.
Yeah, with that said, I think that they actually go with Abdul Carter from Penn State. I think that he is clearly the number one rated prospect in the entire draft. And they want to, now that they've signed Myles Garrett, who adamantly said, I'm not signing with the Browns, trade me. And then they go, here's a boatload of money. He goes, you know what? I love the Browns. I've never wanted to leave. I think they want to pair him up with the other side of another defensive force. I think that they pick up Abdul Carter. And traditionally in the hobby, defensive players don't really have that much lift. Just think about it locally. Bosa, Fred Warner, while good and very sellable here in the local market, technically on a national level, defensive players are a little hard to come by.
What about, say, a rookie Lawrence Taylor?
Of course, he's already established himself as one of the
Yes,
greatest,
yes.
if not the greatest defensive player ever.
But
So that's
does he
different.
compare favorably to offensive players from that era?
Not even close. Yeah, so he's the same rookie year as, I believe, Ronnie Lott. I think the card is 81. No, 81 or 82. And somebody bought it yesterday from our shop for $15.
Really?
Yeah. I was actually like, wait a minute, do we underprice that? I comped it. The card goes for about $15 to $20 for Lawrence Taylor. I do have some Lawrence Taylor signed autograph cards.
Is it tops or?
It was tops.
Yeah,
Yeah, they only had tops at that time.
That's stunned me.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
you know, how many in quantity do they print? That's where it comes down to. So I have Abdul Carter as the second.
Still worth more
Second
than my
pick.
Benzinger card. But
Probably.
anyway, yeah. So with the third pick, New York Giants. And by the way, Imran, that's where I have Abdul Carter going, edge rusher, Penn State, because they have Russ and Jameis on the roster. They don't need to pick a quarterback there. And then Carter would further beef up the pass rush, which isn't bad. You know, I got Burns, Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence second. So I have Abdul Carter. You have him going second. I have him falling to third in the Giants.
Okay, so now this is where it gets tricky. I think that this is where a Colorado player is taken. I just don't know which one. So the Giants, have everything that I've read, have been spending a lot of time looking at Sanders. A lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of resources. They're sending a lot of people there. Sanders is probably lined up for prime time. You've got both Jameis Winston, and Russell Wilson there. So they're easily stopgap guys. Definitely not long term. I still think the Giants take Travis Hunter here. I think that Travis Hunter at this point, and if Travis Hunter gets taken here, prepare for the free fall for Shador.
Yeah.
Because none of the teams behind him have any real interest in needing a quarterback. So I think that Travis Hunter is the pick here. He'll want to play both sides of the ball. He'll double up with Malik Neighbors on the other side of the quarterback. I think Travis Hunter is a great pick, and he is a primetime star that would really lift up. I think he would be somebody that I know that a lot of times people will look and say, yes, they're great on the field, but there's a component in ownership that says, let me see some star power here. I would
Yeah.
love to sell some jerseys.
Big
I would-
Apple, baby.
Absolutely. And I think Travis Hunter is a big Apple kind of guy. I think Travis Hunter goes here. I like that pick.
So you know,
at
I
number
have 3
three.
and 3 just flip.
Correct.
Yeah.
How about 4? What do you got at 4? We've got the Patriots.
Last year they drafted their quarterback. This year they drafted his primary protector, Will Campbell, LSU offensive lineman, to the Patriots at 4.
So you like Will Campbell. He's from where?
LSU.
I'm with you. I have Will Campbell as well. You got to keep your you've got to keep your quarterback upright. If any, I remember when David Carr was drafted by the Houston Texans,
Yeah.
and that guy was running for his life.
Yeah.
Another example, Caleb Williams last year for the Bears was running for his life. He had not a lot of protection. And if you think about quarterbacks that don't have protection, you think about guys like Trevor Lawrence that have had some real difficulty staying upright. So I like Will Campbell as well at number 4 for the Patriots. A boring pick, but one that will not affect the hobby in any way.
Yeah. NFL sacked single season leader since 1960. Number 1, 2002 with Houston, David Carr, 76 times.
Dude, could you imagine? Let's see here. At that time, there were 16 games.
Number 3, David Carr, 68 times in 2005.
I don't mean to laugh. I mean, the guy, and that's just sacks, right? That doesn't mean knockdowns or hurries.
Correct.
or you know, falling down 1 yard
Yeah.
past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Wow. David Carr.
For his career, he was sacked 267 times in his career. And again, the point
How many
is,
total games?
I'd have to
He just lay down every game.
So
All
the
right.
Patriots don't want that for
Number
their guy.
5, we're at the Jags. Who do you have for the Jags?
I have defensive lineman from Michigan, Mason Graham. They have needs up front on defense, and they did not address them in free agency, suggesting that this might be the pick for the new regime in Jacksonville. Mason Graham, defensive line, Michigan.
I agree with you.
Whoa.
I'm with you on that, Mason Graham. This is our first defensive lineman off the board. I think that if Mason Graham didn't go to the Jags, he would have went to the Bears at number 10. They do need a defensive lineman, so Mason Graham, defensive line. I don't believe that defensive linemen will matter in the hobby. They'll matter in real life, but just not in the hobby.
So far, not a great hobby draft.
Not yet. Number 6 for the Raiders. Who do you have?
You got Sanders still available, and the Raiders need a quarterback, so they will select my guy, Armand Membu, Missouri, their new GM. That's when he was in Tampa. He loaded up on offensive linemen, so I think they go with the offensive lineman here.
Okay, so I've been saying this for weeks now. My decision hasn't changed. I think that Genty goes here as the running back. The Raiders clearly need a running back. He is a 3 down or 4 down, if however you want to call it. He is that running back, and he is quite good on social media. I don't know if you spent any time with it. He's very. I love him. I think he's great. I think he's a perfect person for Las Vegas. Pete Carroll loves his rough and tumble running backs like Marshawn Lynch. You think about some of the guys that he put into play, even though for a short time Rashad Penny was there for a minute. He was part of the Kenneth Walker stuff. Kenneth Walker was great. Charbonnet was in there. Like he's had some nice running backs that like to get physical, and Genty's one of them. I do believe this is also a chance where Shedeur gets picked as well.
Yeah.
I think that Shedeur with Brady's relationship, Tom Brady's relationship with him, this is an opportunity. So if the top 5 pass on Shedeur, I think this is probably the ceiling outside of number 3. This is the highest that he would go because the other 2 don't need him, Patriots and Jags. So I think this potentially Geno Smith also doesn't have a contract with guaranteed money past 2026. So if you have Shedeur, just kind of play the backup this year and learn, and then come in the year after, kind of like Mahomes did with Alex Smith. I think that's a possibility there.
What's the highest you see Genty going?
I think that's 6. Although some people have said Patriots at 4, but I don't agree with that. I think that they're more worried about making sure that they get Drake May a chance to throw to Stephon Diggs, who is another pickup this year for the Patriots. So, Yep. And I think that that's kind of where Genty lands. But if they pick Sanders, Genty is going to – people will be salivating knowing that they can get a top-flight running back past pick number 6.
Yeah, you're listening to Music to Mock By as we get ready for this week's NFL Draft. Imran Pilati and I just picking the first 11 because that takes us up to the 49ers' first pick.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the Jets at number 7, who do you have?
Tyler Warren, tight end, Ohio State. They need help at tight end. He's going to help, and he's a big yak guy. Yawn.
Yeah, you're not a tight end fan.
Well, it's just
There was a really good one last year named Brock Bowers who really he set the rookie record for receptions from I believe a rookie, not just a rookie tight end. Excellent player, Brock Bowers, and they still drafted him even after they picked Michael Mayer the year prior, the 2 years prior. So they were like, best player available, let's go for him. I still think that the Jets are going to be worried about making sure that Justin Fields is upright. These mobile quarterbacks too, they need an extra couple seconds to cook because they're bouncing around trying to figure out where to throw to. They still have Garrett Wilson. They still have, I think Lazard is still on the team. I'm not quite sure. Maybe not. But he does need some pass catching stuff, some team members. I agree with you. They still have Breece Hall, who's a great running back. I think that's where Membu goes, the offensive tackle. That's where I think he goes at 7. 8, the Panthers. I think everybody has said they know where it's going. I'll just state who I believe everybody's going to choose. It's going to be Jalen Walker, the edge.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it looks like that's who they're picking. They've talked to him.
They're hoping he's like a Micah Parsons.
Yes, they're going to see him. So edge. So Micah Parsons holds a little bit of hobby value, and so does Fred Warner. When you think about these edge guys, these kind of like tweeny linebacker-y guys, this is one of those guys. So I think that as far as defensive players, with the exception of Abdul Carter, this is one guy that can actually see some hobby love.
In general, does value for your card correspond to how often you touch the football?
I guess.
In a way?
Or, imagine a guy that does a sack. That's great. But the guy that does the sack and then explodes and jumps and like people want that. They want the Warners of the world that will grab an interception, go down the field, whatever yak that they get after yards after interception, and then flex and do like people want that. This is NFL. They've been so tamed by flags and everything that now they're like, just give me something exciting. I want to see some excitement, and I think this guy Jalen Walker potentially could be one of those guys. Saints at number 9. Who do you got?
Shedeur Sanders, terrific fit, especially with Derek Carr's shoulder getting all wonky. They may actually like Jackson Dart more, but number 9's too high to take him. They have not drafted a quarterback in the first round in 53 years.
Was it Archie?
I have to double check. It may have been the great Archie Manning, but I think Shedeur Sanders is the guy here.
I agree. I think this is the absolute lowest that he'll drop. I don't think he'll drop past this. We know that Derek Carr has been talking about the shoulder injury, not him talking about it, but everybody else about his availability. We know that he's not going to be able to start the season, let alone potentially miss the entire season. And I think that ends the Derek Carr experiment in Saints world. I think Shedeur goes here. If he doesn't, there's a Mikael Williams, the edge. I did a little bit of research on him. Again, another edge, another great player. But
that's M-Y, right?
M-Y, K-E-L,
yeah.
And I believe that Shedeur, this is the floor. This is the end of where he would drop to. It's not going to turn into Aaron Rodgers where he has to go in the back because he's crying because nobody's picking him. This is, I think, where Shedeur goes. And I think he's open to that being the Big Easy. We're coming up close to the Niners.
Yeah.
We're at number 10.
Number 10.
The Bears. Who do you got?
I have Genty going here from Boise State. Great fit. He and DeAndre Swift will form a potent 1-2 punch that some scouts are comparing to Imran and Tim Shepler as far as the great 1-2 punches. Yeah. You heard that? That's what a lot of scouts are. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Usually, I've never heard that that includes Shep.
Shep's your GM, right?
Yes.
Does he have autonomy, or are you always meddling and telling him what to do?
Are you calling me Vivek?
Well, I'm asking. I'm just asking the question.
Is it because I'm half Pakistani? Yes, I'm a meddler. In fact, Shep often says, I would have done better if it wasn't for that meddling kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Uh-huh.
I'm the pesky guy that stays there. I go, you know what, Shep? Go ahead and do whatever you want, as long as it's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
No, Shep,
I thought so.
I absolutely give not only Shep, but the rest of my team the autonomy to do it. All I say is, if it's the wrong decision, it's okay. Just tell me what you were thinking when you made the decision. That makes me feel confident that you put some thought into it. The results may not always be the perfect result, but I do want to know that you were thinking about what you were doing before you did it. What I hate is when people sit on their hands and do nothing. It's like, well, I was waiting for you to approve it. It's like, you don't need me to do that. Yeah. But if you make a really, really big mistake, I promote you to customer. Here we are at 11. Okay, I had Walter Nolan, the defensive lineman. They do need a defensive lineman to help them put some pressure on the quarterback. Again, a defensive lineman that doesn't really matter to the hobby. So here we are. Pick number 11 for Sacktown Sports 1140, home of the Niners. Who do the Niners select?
The 49ers' needs are clearly up front on both sides of the ball. Defensive tackle is their single greatest need. So with this pick, they will take 6'5" defensive tackle from Oregon, Derek Harmon, possibly the best pass rushing tackle in this draft. Derek Harmon. After his pro day, John Lynch was talking to his coach. They had dinner together, according to David Lombardi. And I think we know who they were talking about, Derek Harmon.
There are 2 picks here that I see, and neither one are Derek Harmon. Although I do see he's in that range of that 9 to 15 range. So if they picked him, it wouldn't be a surprise. With Charvarius Ward leaving, and for good reasons, for his own heart sake, with the tragic loss of his child, I think it's going to either be Will Johnson, the DB. I think that's with my head who they picked, the DB, Will Johnson. That's somebody that's been on their radar. They need another cornerback to stop that pass against them. But my heart is wanting McMillan from Arizona. Here's where I'm at. You're on the brink of signing Brock Purdy. I don't know why they play this song and dance every year with their best players. Just pay the guy the $55 million and let's move on, right? Because
Puka Nacua says he's worth 45.
Puka
You
said
hear
that?
He did, yeah. This week he was on a podcast. He goes, he's worth like 45. They'll be okay. Their window's open if they give him 45, but if they give him 5, like 50, the window's closing.
Let's stop for a second. The guy's trolling because he's in the same division.
I know.
What a jerk to say that. Right? Some people say you can handle anything except for you don't do 2 things. Don't mess with my family, friends, people that I care about, and don't mess with my money. And when you got one of the top receivers for your rival Rams saying, the guy's worth 45.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, shut up.
Yes.
And 2, don't mess with my money. Right? Because you never know whose team you might end up being on.
That's true, too.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, did Cooper Kupp sign anywhere?
I don't believe so.
Like, Cooper Kupp's a great possession receiver who still has some juice to him. I wouldn't mind picking up Cooper Kupp and then passing on and then taking Will Johnson here, as long as you end up with the number.
Seahawks, pardon me.
Oh, he did sign with Seahawks. Okay, so think about this, though. You've got Brock Purdy throwing to who? Kittle, who has shown signs of aging quite significantly. If the tight end is here, that might be even a consideration here. Probably not. You've got Third and Juwan on one side, who's been an excellent player. I loved him. You've got Ricky Pearsall on the other side, who has shown flashes when he had a chance. But Ayuk isn't coming back until week 7. And even then, how effective is he going to be? How tentative might he be? I cringe when I think about tearing ACLs and stuff like that. And I'd always be hesitant for the second time hit. You can't go out there fearless like you did before. You just can't. So at least not in the first year. So I wouldn't mind having McMillan because I think truly, if I can read the tea leaves right, the Niners would be okay with letting Ayuk go somewhere else or, whatever. So
Right.
I like McMillan. He's big. He's strong. That's my preference, but that's where we're at.
Okay.
Other people to pay attention to.
Other people to pay attention to.
Jackson Dart, the quarterback. You said that you saw drafts that had him as high as number 9.
I just know New Orleans likes him. But
So
9
if
might be too
Shador
high.
was out, that could be a potential place. I like Jackson Dart. He's the 3rd-rated quarterback on the field on the drafts. There's also a guy named Tyler Shough, Shough from Louisville.
Showtime.
Yep. Jalen Monroe from Alabama. And then Will Howard. I'll tell you who I am not for.
Who are you not for?
I don't like Quinn Ewers. I watched him play at Texas. There was a lot of yak after the catch, yards after the catch, which padded a lot of his stats. Arch Manning was right behind him, and basically he was blocking because of seniority. Quinn Ewers is going to be drafted somewhere in the draft, probably 4th round or so. Don't be tempted investing heavy in him. If you want to pick up a few things here or there, that's fine. Also, one other person to pay attention to, Omarion Hampton, who is actually rated slightly, and I mean slightly below Genty as a running back. He's coming from UNC. He's actually bigger, 6 foot, 225. Genty is 5'11 or 5'10. Some people are saying he's as small as 5'8, like a little wrecking ball and 211. So I would just look at it and say, that's the other guy, Omarion Hampton. Outside of that, I don't really see too many people that I'd be collecting in this draft. But if I was to pick anybody in this draft,
From a hobby standpoint.
I'd be picking Travis Hunter. Because you're going to see him basically on every play. And out of sight, out of mind, but this guy's not going to be out of sight. He's going to be either getting burned or on the defensive end or making breakups and or interceptions, and he's definitely going to be involved on. I see him like a Debo type player for the Giants if the Giants end up picking him at number 3.
I would go Shador Sanders just because of his name, and he's going to be a quarterback somewhere. And quarterbacks are always the most popular players. He has a chance to be a good player, but even if he's not, I think there's going to be that. He's Shador Sanders. He's Dion's kid, almost a brawny factor. So to me, that's going to inflate, perhaps artificially, his values at least.
So let's step back for a second. Just because you have a Hall of Fame dad doesn't mean that you're going to be a Hall of Fame or even a quality or even an All-Pro or Pro Bowler. Right now, I don't sell very many Bronny James cards.
But
nobody asked for it.
Yeah.
He does still have value, strangely enough, but
Mhm.
I think it's one of those just kind of cool things.
Right.
Not necessarily, hey, this is a great investment, or I think he's going to turn into something.
Yeah. Shador, obviously, a much better prospect than Bronny.
So there you go, guys.
Yeah.
There is our mock
Who's
yeah.
right? Who's wrong?
Which one are you solid? It's going to happen no matter what. Cam Ward at the top.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much Cam
I
Ward
feel
at the
really
top.
good about that 49er pick too. And I'm curious to see if what I've been reading is correct, because that's, a lot of people aren't going there.
So here we are, guys. Our final 5 minutes. And I would love to talk about WrestleMania.
Let's go.
I went to Monday Night Raw at Golden One on Monday. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Shout out to my friend Mike Millerick, who provided me with great tickets at the suite. Penny and Associates Law Injury Firm. They were the ones that were hosting it. They invited me in. So thank you very much for the Penny team. Want to also say that there's some quality products that are coming out soon, including the debut patch. You wanted to ask me about that. So go for it.
Yeah, I just saw that Topps announced very recently, perhaps this week, that they're going to have WWE cards that have WrestleMania patches included. I'm assuming it's similar to the Paul Skeens rookie patch that was so popular.
Correct.
Yeah.
So look on the tights. Somebody like CM Punk literally wears Speedo type tights. So it's going to be there somewhere. Maybe a big part on his butt crack or something. I don't know.
Kind of depends where it is as to how much I really want it.
It could be a scratch and sniff 101.
Oh boy.
So
I'm out.
So they're going to have in our ear. Anthony just told us how many minutes we have left, but he was laughing as he said it. I think it was the butt crack debut patch that I was giving away.
Yeah,
there.
it was that.
Yeah, it was that. Okay. I think that they're going to be incredibly hot as far as the interest in them. Recently, as I got to give credit to Seekins or Sekins for, he said he or she said that the 1-of-1 John Cena, Rock, and Travis Scott 1-of-1 autograph was recently pulled. That's a pretty significant card. I think that
hopefully by Seekins 4. Hopefully
Seekins 4.
Yeah.
Seekins 4. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah.
Seekins 4 is the one that uncovered it.
Yeah, I would love to have you bring that into the shop and sell it to us. So I would just tell you that right now, my predictions, you have Cody, the American Nightmare Rhodes against John Cena. John Cena has turned heel, turning into the bad guy. I think John Cena pulls it off and he gets his 17th championship. That's going to happen. I do believe. You have Jey Uso, yeet. That's his. I expect you to start using that yeet.
Yeah.
Y-E-E-T, yeet.
Yeah.
Yeet. He's going up against Gunther for the world championship. I think Jey Uso is somebody that's going to win his first world championship. And then you have Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky against each other for a triple threat. I got to meet Rhea Ripley on a plane coming back home. She's a wonderful person. I hope she wins. I believe she's going to.
Yeah.
And then finally you have Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, who is Ric Flair's daughter. Again, not Steve White's daughter, but
that's the first Steve White mention. I kept waiting for it. What's Steve White doing in WrestleMania?
I think that Tiffany Stratton holds on to the belt. She's very, very successful and popular right now. So that's where we go. So those are my predictions for WrestleMania. Where are you going to be watching WrestleMania at?
I haven't yet decided.
You're
I got
gonna be
so many
guarding.
offers. There's so many great parties for WrestleMania. Haven't picked one yet. How long is Cena going to be a heel?
I think until the end.
Really?
Yeah, he's retiring this year. So I think that it's so hard. He's the number one Make-A-Wish person in the history of Make-A-Wish program. He's not doing any. He's playing into this character big time. So good for Cena. He says, on the way out, I want to make sure that I have a frumpy face and I'm angry, but people will love him forever. The guy's been around for 20 years.
Well, have a
Go
good
John
holiday
Cena.
with the family. I know you
Thank
look
you.
forward to Easter and
Thank
dressing
you.
up like the bunny.
Goodness. Last thing, don't forget, stock up on your supplies, particularly the plastic ones today at the shop before prices go up on Monday. Thank you, Whitey, for everything you do.
Yep. Thank you,
Thank
Emran. Thank you, Anthony.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
For correcting Emran.
Actually,
Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. True Sports Card Show on Sacktown Sports.
You might find an old Doug Christie numbered 101. I tell you, Emran's always cool. There's always kids inside. Why aren't they in school? They're at the Sabonis plays here.
He finds Sabonis. Put the frosting on the cake. Put the cherry on the sundae. Sabonis with a 2.